And the topic for today is time to be accountable. And what's driving this, I was sharing with a friend the other day. I was going somewhere. I can't remember where exactly I was going, but I was going somewhere. I was behind this big truck. And this big truck was one of those truck that carries stones to the construction site. And it had stones in it, and there was a covering over it. But there's a big sign on the back that says, "We are not responsible for broken windshield." And I got into my feelings, y'all. I really got into my feelings because it took me to another story, another experience I had. I went to an event and I had to check my coat. And when I checked my coat, there's a big sign that says, "We're not responsible for loss or stolen or damages." And it just confused me, y'all. It caused me to think, is anybody taking responsibility for anything anymore? And so I had another experience with 3 clients, which I'm going to share with you in a little bit, that really sparked this conversation. I think it's a meaningful topic for us to talk about in light of what's going on in our environment. But what exactly is being self-accountable? Self-accountability is when you take responsibility for your actions or your behavior without blaming others. I'm going to let that sit for a minute. Can you think of a time, whether as an adult or a child, you were in a situation and you kept saying, him, her, them, over there. You kept pointing. I've done it. I've done it in my marriage when things were going sideways, y'all. Yeah. I point fingers. But then here's the thing that I remembered. You guys will always hear me refer back to my grandmother, because that's the important thing. When we're born, when we enter this world with no experience. And we develop experience in the environment that we grow in. If your environment that you grow up in is healthy, where things are being taught like taking responsibility for your action, being accountable, if that is taught to you, you will be a very good citizen. You will function well in your relationships. Some of you may not have had that. And as you got older, you took stock of where you are and where you were, and you said, you know what? It's time for me to focus on developing myself. I need to develop some good habits. I need to take responsibility for my life. I need to take responsibility for the outcome that I want. That is self-accountability. We're no longer going to blame mama or daddy because they didn't have the money to send you to college, or because they didn't do this and they didn't do that. You're going to take responsibility for yourself, for where you are, and the outcome that you want. It is so important, because when we don't take responsibility and we're out there in front of our homes, the other children, you're leading your family, or you're leading an organization, or you're leading in a high role in society, in the community somewhere. You are a leader. And you're not taking responsibility. What you're saying for those who are following you, looking at you, paying attention to you, is that it's okay. You don't have to do that. It doesn't matter. But I want to tell you something, y'all. It does matter. It really matters. And there's some benefits to being self-accountable. And before I mention those, let me just go back. I was raised in an environment where my grandmother would say, remember the big finger, that's your thumb. When you point all these fingers at others over there, remember this one is pointing back at you. And I never forgot that. She taught me that very early in my life. And every time that I point blame and I point fingers, in my reflection time, I would stop and say, you know what? I need to look at me. Are you looking at you? Are you taking responsibility for your portion? Yes, your portion. I'm not saying to take responsibility for everything everybody else did or didn't do. But here's the thing. If you drop the ball, Take responsibility for that. Be accountable to you. I had 3 clients this week, and that was one of the biggest thing on their list. But usually when I start a session, I say, what can we do today that will serve you and will make a big difference in your life? 3 of them, y'all, asked me to be their accountability partner on a particular project that they're working on in a particular area of their life. One person, they're working on their spiritual life, and they're doing some reading. They want this summer to focus on spirituality and getting better. But they realize that they're not staying on track, they're not staying committed, and they need to be accountable, and they're struggling. And so they reached out to me and they asked me to do it as their coach. The other person, they took this exam multiple times and failed it. They have another chance this month, and they really want to lean in and put in the time, but they struggle to stay focused. They struggle to stay committed to the process, to the plan that they have. And so she asked me to keep her accountable. Yesterday, I got a message from her. I did XYZ, and I sent back, beautiful, so proud of you. We all need accountability partners in our life, and that's where I come in as a coach. I play multiple roles, but accountability partnership is something that I'm good at. It's something that I offer to you and anyone else who needs it. Because it's important that if we're not self-accountable, we find help, whether it's a member of our family, a good friend, someone at work. We find somebody that's going to hold us accountable for the things we say we're not going to do, for the things we say we are going to do. And when we slip up, we are open to hear the feedback from those we say we're accountable to. It is critical that we build this muscle of self-accountability. And here are 3 benefits. When you practice self-accountability, number 1, you learn from your setbacks. You learn. You get the lessons so that you don't have to make excuses and point fingers next time, but you'll apply the lessons in the next experience. Number 2, it is so important that you practice self-accountability because you know what? It helps you to develop a growth mindset. Who doesn't want a growth mindset? A growth mindset says that it can change, it can get better, I can do better, I can learn, and I can improve. And number 3, y'all, being self-accountable is focused on solution. It's solutions focused. It's so important that we get these 3 benefits in everything that we do when it comes to being accountable. It is time for us to stop running from our responsibility and lean in and say, you know what? I'm not doing so well in that area. I want to do better, and I'm not going to blame my mama. I'm not going to blame the boss for overlooking me. I'm not going to blame the ex-spouse. I'm not going to blame anybody. But I'm going to take responsibility for my portion and work on me and work on it, whatever those things are. Work on it and become better. Because at the end of the day, since you enter this world without experience, in order to get experience, we've got to do some things and we've got to be intentional. We've got to be intentional about developing ourselves, especially in the areas where we're not so strong. Remember that list? That list where I asked you to put a line down the page and list your strength and list your weaknesses, the things you're struggling, the things you need help in. And in those areas where you need help, seek help. Because that will show that you're taking responsibility for your growth, responsibility for the outcome that you want in your relationship, the outcome that you want in your career, the outcome that you want in life. What do you want? Are you ready to take responsibility for your actions so that you can reap the benefits of the beautiful outcome that's waiting for you on the inside? Do you want more joy, more fulfillment? Do you want more out of life? What does it look like for you? Take responsibility for your actions and stay accountable to you. I'm staying accountable to me by being here on a weekly basis, sharing nuggets with you. Please let me know if these are helping you. If they're not, I want to know. I want to know so that I can stop sending them. But if they're helping you, do let me know that. Some of you are going through some challenging areas in your relationship, whether you're in a marriage, whether you're in, you're dating or there's a significant other, and responsibility is lacking. Get to the root of what the problem is, and then you can figure out solutions. It is time for us to be accountable. I'm committed to being accountable. Are you? If you are, do send me a comment and let me know how you're showing up, how you're taking responsibility for your own action, for your growth, for your personal growth in your personal life and your professional life, and in life in itself, in life in general. I thank you for meeting me here, and may God bless you. I am your coach. I am your sister. Have a wonderful day. I am your tour guide to a resilient you. Bye-bye.